Well, hello, Rock Point. One of the areas that we've been growing in as a church family is the area of communication about our finances. We've been receiving more frequent and more detailed updates over the last year or so. And I want to thank our finance team for how they have been serving us so well and for being such faithful stewards of what God has entrusted to us. As a pastor, talking about money often feels awkward and perilous. It can feel like any conversation about the finances of the church boils down to this. The church needs more money, and it's up to us to give that money. But I have two thoughts that come to mind, and I'd like to share that with you this morning. On the one hand, there are most certainly fiscal realities that we must explore as a church family. Our ability to achieve the goals and the mission that God has given us is supported by the funds that many of us regularly give. And at each of our services across Rock Point this weekend, a booklet is being made available to us. And in that booklet, you'll find a picture of our current financial state, and you'll find information about giving patterns and details concerning the number of people that attend Rock Point who regularly give, as well as an exploration of some ways that Rock Point can engage in giving. And you're going to be invited to do that as well. Yeah, it's an interesting and it's a practical read. At this point, on the other hand, I want to focus on what's truly important. I want to focus our intention on something other than the budget. I want to focus our attention and our conversation on the true heart of the matter. That's faithfulness, obedience, and spiritual maturity. God asks each of His children to be obedient to Him as He calls us to live generously. A faithful person is a giving person. And whether it be to Rock Point or some other expression of God's work, a faithful person is one who has heard God's voice and heard His call to generosity and has responded with obedience. Our continued spiritual growth is arrested when we don't submit to this call upon our lives. It's like any other call of God on our life, whether it be baptism or be obedience to His word. The call of God to be generous is a path forward for spiritual maturity. The discipline of regular giving to the ministries and situations that God has put on your heart is both a sign of and a catalyst for your spiritual growth. While what you see in this booklet provides details about Rock Point's financial status, it provides us an opportunity to listen to God's call to faithfully steward the resources that He's entrusted to us. As much as I long to see Rock Point's budget flourish, and we're doing pretty well right now, I long all the more for each one of us to experience the joy of obedience to God and the spiritual growth that comes as a result of it. That's my heart, is that you would experience the great joy of generosity, that you experience the blessing of generosity, wherever it is that God is calling you to give. Now, this little talk and this month's financial update is truly more about our hearts than it is about our money. And I want to invite you to invite God to guide you in the area of your finances. Perhaps it's time for you to be freed from worry and concern and the bondage of finances. This is one of God's paths forward for you. At this point, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you and well done to those who regularly give in obedience to God's call to do so. Rock Point has a very strong base of givers who consistently and generously provide for God's work. Again, thank you so much. But I also want to extend an invitation to all of us to press into God and ask Him what He is asking of you in the area of giving and living generously. You will never regret following God in this area. God bless you, and there are very good days ahead for us as a church family.